need a priest to bring you to God? The Bible answers yes, absolutely. But perhaps not the priest you were thinking of. Back in Exodus 3, Moses is at the burning bush, and the one in the bush promises to save the people. Exodus 3 verse 12, he says, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you, Moses, have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." The one in the bush will be with them, and he will bring them to God. So who is this Savior in the bush? We've already seen in reading between the lines, he is introduced as the angel of the Lord. That's Exodus 3 verse 2. And he calls himself in Exodus 3 verse 14, he is the I am. So here is the great priest who we need. He is the divine sent one, acting as a go-between, bringing heaven to earth and bringing earth to heaven. And if you read from Exodus chapter 3 all the way through to Exodus chapter 19, you'll see that this one from the bush is referred to as God, and he's the Lord, and he's the angel of the Lord, and sometimes he's called the presence of the Lord or the face of the Lord. Sometimes he's the glory of the Lord. He is the one who is traveling in this pillar of cloud and fire. He's the one who, at the Red Sea, stands between the Egyptian army and the escaping Israelites, like Gandalf saying to the Israelites, "You shall not pass." He is God's divine priest, leading the people to the unseen Lord. He is Jesus Christ, before he was born into the human race. He is the eternal Son of God. And he is the one speaking our phrase for today. He has brought the Israelites to the foot of Mount Sinai, and he says this in Exodus chapter 19 from verse 4. "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all the nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." So, do you notice how here is the one who is being quite priestly towards us? Christ has been priestly. He has brought us to God. But now that he's brought us to God, he wants us to be priestly to the world. You see, Christ's people become priestly in him. The Lord passes on his priestliness. This is vital to understand. Jesus, he does have a particular people. And he has a particular love for his particular people. But that doesn't mean he forgets the rest of the world. He does not love us instead of the world. He loves us for the sake of the world. He doesn't make us his treasured possession for our own sakes. He makes us his treasured possession so that we will spread that same love out to the nations. Perhaps you know Jesus' great statement in John chapter 20. He says, "As the Father has sent me, so have I sent you." Well, here in Exodus 19 is the Old Testament equivalent. And the angel of the Lord has been sent to us so that we might be sent to the nations. Just as Christ has ministered to us, so we minister to the world. Therefore, as we learn about Christ's priestliness, this should have a dual effect. It should make us appreciate our own belovedness, but it should also inform the way that we love others. So let's think of Jesus' priestly love towards us. And we'll do that by considering our phrase for today, on eagle's wings. This communicates at least three things, I think. Firstly, it speaks of speed. Christ saves us swiftly like an eagle. He runs to us, he flies to us even. In the Bible, it speaks of nations that quickly overrun other nations. They are swift as eagles. So Jesus is saying here that those born on eagle's wings are brought at once to the Father. If we are Christ's, then he does not delay in sweeping us up into the life of God. If you belong to Jesus, don't imagine for a moment that your case is lost in paperwork somewhere in heaven's bureaucracy. Straight away, you have been brought to the Father. Secondly, eagle's wings speaks of renewal. In Isaiah chapter 40, for instance, there's the promise that those who wait on the Lord, they will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. When Jesus brings us to the Father, he renews us. We are not delivered into the Father's arms as the careworn men and women that we were. He gives us new birth. Our youth and vitality are renewed. Thirdly, eagle's wings speaks of motherly care. As Moses would sing later in Deuteronomy, He says, in a desert land he found them, in a barren and howling waste. He shielded them and cared for them. He guarded them as the apple of his eye, like an eagle that stirs up its nest and hovers over its young, that spreads its wings to catch them and carries them aloft. The Lord alone led them. No foreign god was with them. That's Deuteronomy chapter 32, from verses 10 to 12. Eagle's wings is about the motherly care of the Lord. Christ does not merely deliver his people, he dotes on them. This is how our great high priest loves us. He flies to us, he renews us, he dotes on us. This is how we have been loved. And now this is how we are to love others. Our great high priest has loved us, now we are to be priestly to others. Just as you have freely received this love, so now, today, freely give.